God, I needed that. Hey, good morning. It's Coffee with Big Cat. So, do you know why I have long hair? I'll tell you why. Because I used to get a flat top, high and tight military style haircut. When I started doing that when I was an auxiliary, and I kept my beard really, really, really trimmed, and moved to West Hollywood. Found a Russian barber down here on Santa Monica Boulevard, and he was my barber for a long time. And so I would go in and get my flat top. And one day, it had been a while since I'd been in there, and I walked in and sat down, and he said, "Same thing?" And I said, "No, I'm thinking about maybe trying something different, maybe leave a little bit of length on it." And he says, "No." All right. Then he proceeded to give me my flat top haircut, and he said, "See, now you look like you." All right. If he doesn't want to cut my hair, I'm not going to cut my hair. And at some point, somebody said to me, I just started grad school at that point. They were like, "Well, is this your shaggy academic look?" And I said, "Yes, this is my shaggy academic look." And the reason I mention this is because I don't really spend a lot of time looking in mirrors. You probably wouldn't either. So the only time I really look in a mirror is I try not to look in a mirror while I'm getting a haircut, but I have to look in a mirror after I get a haircut because it's expected. I guess you have to confirm that indeed a haircut took place. So, when I get that mirror after the haircut, it's kind of the only time I see myself. And every time I see myself, I think, after I get my haircut, I always feel like, "Hey man, I just wanted a haircut. I didn't want you to make me fatter and older. What the hell, man?" And the reason I bring this up is because I always feel that way when I'm looking at myself on the camera. I should really cover these things up. But the other thing is, the guy who used to cut my hair in New York, who absolutely insisted he was a hairdresser, would not let me call him a barber. He was a hairdresser. My hairdresser said, "If a man is to remain sane, he must, once a year, call in sick and watch Apocalypse Now." And he's right. He is right about that. Now, the thing I wanted to talk about today, two sort of transitional moments in childhood. The first one is when you go from 6th to 7th grade and you have to start using a locker for the first time. And a grown-up has to explain to you how to use a locker, and they can never remember it. They can never verbalize it. They have to do it with their hand. They have to go, "Well, you do. You do." Okay, and so you write it all down. They write it all down. You got your combination, and you have to go off, and you have to. This is a threshold guardian. Your locker is a threshold guardian that you have to move past, and you learn that 17 means 17, not near 17, 17. And I remember doing that, struggling with it, getting the hang of it, and then walking off to class. And I remember seeing lots of kids in front of their lockers getting really frustrated and screaming and pounding on their lockers. And I remember thinking to myself, "Oh man, I am so lucky that I got a functional locker. I'm glad I didn't get one of these, dysfunctional lockers like all these kids got." And it wasn't until years later I realized, oh, those were morons. Then years before that, another big transitional moment. I remember saying to my parents regarding Santa Claus. Santa Claus makes all the toys himself up at the North Pole. Yes. Well, Hasbro. It says Hasbro right on the box. And then there's an address right here in the United States. And they said, "Well, he can't do it all. He has to have helpers." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Santa Claus needs to outsource. Offshore, really." Those things didn't exist back then, not like that. So then I remember looking up the chimney and saying, "Hey, there is no way a human being could fit through this. How's that happen?" And they said, "Magic." I was like, "Okay, magic. Yeah, magic. Got it." And then we were driving along. We saw Santa Claus by the side of the road ringing the bell. And, "Hey, Jeff, look, it's Santa Claus. Is that the real Santa Claus?" "Yes, that's the real Santa Claus." "Oh, we went 2 blocks, saw another Santa Claus." I said, "How is that possible?" Was the Santa Claus, well, I mean, the Santa Claus can get to every house in the world in one night. Maybe he can travel really fast. Maybe he was at that corner and then got there ahead of us. So that would make my traveling perspective the only perspective that we could measure from, which has a lot to do with relativity, which I think I want to talk about in a second. But I didn't understand relativity at 4 years old, but 5, 6, I don't know. How is that possible? Well, some of them are Santa's helpers. And I was like, and I was out. That was it. I don't know why. That was the one that put me out of the whole thing. So here's what I'm saying. You can predict with a fair amount of certainty how a child is going to do as an adult based on those two moments. How well they do with the locker and how quickly and how they put together the Santa Claus thing, because how they put together the Santa Claus thing is going to show you whether or not critical thinking is indigenous to their organism, and the locker thing shows what their sort of native talents are in terms of following instructions, and that will have a lot to do with how they do in the workforce, right? So talking about relativity and Santa Claus traveling faster than light. This is the other thing I thought of today, which is that Robert Anton Wilson said all pieces of string are the same length. I'll just let you think about that. I found it took me 15 years, but I kind of got that this morning. Likewise, wherever you are in the universe is the center of the universe, the way the universe is expanding, right? Wherever you are, your perspective, all of the stars moving away. So, likewise, I've decided that my moving perspective, my shift from now on, I'm going to try this, is that wherever I am, whatever group of people I'm in, I am the median for crazy. Roughly half the people around me are crazier than me, and roughly half the people around me are, less crazy than me. Which one did I say first? Half of them are crazier than me, half of them are less crazy than me. Wherever it is, I am the distribution of the bell curve right here. I don't know why it struck me as being so useful this morning. Yeah, I don't remember that at all. The point being, we've got coffee. I got nothing for a button for this whole thing. I did this whole video a couple days ago, and then I thought I can do better than this. And then I completely forgot what the hell I talked about in this video. And then this morning I just remembered, oh yeah, it's the Santa Claus and locker thing. And then I thought all that other stuff. And then I tried making the video, and I got a phone call in the middle of it, and that went fine, but then suddenly my camera crapped out. So I did a part 2. And then I thought, oh, let me try to get this in one take. And now I'm just blathering. I'll see you tomorrow. I will try again.